I'm Cary Sherburne, Senior Editor of What They Think, and I'm here with Shoshana Burgett, who is the Director of Worldwide Marketing for X-Rite Pantone. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, gosh, back around Drupa time, you launched Pantone Live, which is a cloud-based spectral database for brand owner color control, kind of, right?
Pantone Live, March 2012, we launched it. Basically creating the Pantone color you love, digitizing it, spectral data, an enterprise communication tool.
And so that product is basically focused on the packaging market?
Yep.
And so and really the brand owners need to, work with you to specify the brand color and how it's going to appear on different substrates and stuff. So what's the adoption that you're seeing in terms of brand owners on this product?
So over the past few years, we've seen brands that we can talk about is P&G and Asda have both announced they're moving to Pantone Live. So we're working with them to help them with their palette definition and then working with them into the supply chain, ensuring that things are being implemented, identifying any ways we can help customers with training, resources, tools, things of that nature.
So the ability for throughout the whole supply chain for everyone to have a consistent specification for the brand colors, that's important. What happens then when you sort of move to the next level? Okay, so now you're getting into sort of the production, so pre-press, pre-media production. What happens then? So
what I tell people is color in many regards is the last bastion for a digitized workflow. We've got JDF and job tickets and MIS systems, but we still specify off of a swatch, and then we do drawdowns, things of that nature. Now we're communicating using spectral data centrally stored in a cloud. And now in the past year, we've included Color Cert, X-Rite's Color Cert Edition, and that actually creates a closed loop way to measure, track, and create a dashboard or a scorecard to ensure that not just suppliers are running to specifications, but in the print industry, so many of us now are running multi-shops. We have partners, we collaborate, or we have multi-site locations. Color Cert's great in that regard because now from an operations standpoint, I can identify how each shop is running, whether or not that's by shift or operations, and really drill down into the data so I can run a much more effective shop.
That's great, and then of course the third piece of it is the instrumentation actually. So what's going on in that space? I mean, all this has to link together. I mean, you have the specification, you have the monitoring that's going on with Color Cert, but you have to have the measurement part.
Yes, and so we have our measurement device, the X-Rite Exact. We've actually just announced this past year the scanning ability. So we have the ability to do short bars, which are found on packages, as well as longer bars. So really a broad breadth of applications that this can connect to. We have both software partners that are part of the Pantone Live ecosystem, and as well as the hardware. So it's a completely open platform.
And the X-Rite Exact is a spectrophotometer. It can also measure ink density, right?
Correct.
But are you seeing the motion starting to happen from people moving from using primarily depending on ink density or by eye, which is not so good, to spectral? Because it seems like spectral instruments are much more affordable these days and so on. So are you seeing that movement?
We are seeing that movement, and yes, there's still so many people who still do it by density. The old school, what we tell people is, are you printing like your dad? And we're trying to go into...
That's dad, not dead.
Dad, not dead. We're trying to educate folks that yes, you started to do it with density, then we moved into LAB. We're now into a spectral environment, and when you're doing spectral, we call that, from a marketing term, the DNA of a color. We're taking into consideration both the ink and the substrate. So you're really now putting a lot of empowerment and control of your color that wasn't available. And then the Exact also being the only instrument that does both M1 Part 1 and Part 2, we take in consideration the optical brighteners that are found both in inks and papers. So that's a lot of also confusion that happens into the market when you do your measurements.
And when printers look at, do I need to invest in new instruments? I found a conversation that I had with Warren Werbett at Pizzazz Printing in Montreal not too long ago, where he made the comment that his analysis was, I looked at how many jobs I do in a year, I looked at what it costs me, and I figure I'm spending $3 per job or less in the first year to buy this instrument. So it's really not that.
It's not an expensive investment. You get the return very quickly because so many things are simplified and you're putting all the operations into a very simple touchscreen instrument. But you add that, some of the other things we're expanding on, like a Pantone certified printer program, that brings in all the SOPs, the processes, really what we've heard with customers in that regard, an ROI very quick in a few months. So it's a combination of really doing an analysis of what your current color workflow is, how you manage your inks, how you bring in jobs, how you specify, and then being able to measure. So again, clearly articulating and communicating what is it the customer wants and what is achievable on the other end, and sharing that information spectrally and measuring to it. So we're all on the same page.
That's terrific. So just really improving the color communication across the entire supply chain.
It's all about communication.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.